day is coming my way. It's a beautiful day.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am your host for A Beautiful Life. I am Jaquita JQ Lee, and I tell you, it is an honor to greet you all on this evening as we go into A Beautiful Life's show with our very special guest, Miss Camille Burke. Welcome, Camille.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you for having me. First
Listen,
talk,
you all,
thank you.
it is my pleasure. You are truly in for a treat with this, Jules. When I tell you, just it's a beautiful thing when you see people operating in their gift and just making the impact that they're making. And so I'm excited to see um, what's going to transpire on tonight as we talk in honor of this month, Women's Month, from international women to just our interaction and our connection. So we entitled this one Sister to Sister, and what's behind the sistership all the way to womanhood. And so when you're talking about that connection, Camilla, I really want tonight to be um, a real earnest conversation about our interaction as women, um, the strength of it, and for those who are sometimes challenged because maybe they have felt betrayal or felt issues that made them begin to close themselves up to the sisters. My prayer is that by this show on tonight, by the end of this show, that they will begin to open their hearts back up in reference to really seeing the power behind having a strong sisterhood. So I want to jump right into that. What do you feel are some of the strengths related to women being able to really connect and to be empowered through a sisterhood?
Well, the strengths that I see related to that is women being able to change the world, women being able to move together, lead, pray together, dream together, envision together, have a partnership, have a connection.
Yeah, I think that's important because when you're talking about being able to do those things together, we the Bible talks about one can put away 1,000, two 10,000, and so there's something that happens, even synergy wise,
Yes.
when we can connect and be on one accord. And so, just as you talked about, like the impact that we can have on the world, our voice does matter. And I want you to talk a little bit about um, why is it important for us to really work on relationships as it relates to women. Sometimes we can be very opinionated, strong-willed. We can be very driven, and for some reason, there are times when you find women competing and feeling the need to um, do backstabbing and just different things versus seeing how much further along that they can get by working together. Why do you feel that sometimes women have a challenging time in navigating to get to that place of having a strong sisterhood?
I feel for some people it's competition. And instead of working together, people are competing against each other. And that is, probably a way of them trying to get ahead and trying to, some people are out there. So they're trying to be better or show, I don't follow anyone. But in order
Mm,
to be a good leader, you have to be a good follower, right? So sometimes people get it mixed up, and you can also lead from behind. So that's one issue. The other thing I think where women have been hurt a lot by women and they learn not to trust. The cattiness does not begin in the workplace, but it begins in preschool. It begins in
mm,
preschool where you have the cool girls and the not so cool girls. And I just remember I have a teenager now, but I remember when she was in preschool, there was one particular person who always made everybody else the animal. She was always the mother and everyone was was the child or the dog in your little preschool group. So you have a lot of alienation and separation that starts in pre-K3 and pre-K4, right?
Hmm.
So it starts from young where people feel like better, or they start being like cliques. And then
Hmm.
we end up feeling like, okay, well, I'm not cool enough to play this part. I have to play the animal part or the dog or whoever, and I'm not good enough. So people end up feeling hurt. They end up feeling stigmatized. Um, we judge people. We judge people based on the car they drive. Some of us are not willing to admit that we judge people, but we do make judgments based on how the person dresses, the house they live in, the area code, the zip code they come from. So, you know, that's how we tend to separate. We don't work together. So women do hurt women. And once we've been hurt so long, we put up certain barriers where we don't let people come in, and we just deal with people at arm's length. So that can be a barrier for women becoming closer.
You touched on something, and I want to piggyback on something that you stated. I want to echo, and I want to stay there for a moment. Different behaviors that have been taught in our school age years, and these personalities that come out with these young people, where you can already begin to see, leadership in certain ones. You can already begin to see some take that position of, well, I want to be the leader of the line, or I want to be the leader in the class. And it is as if everybody is supposed to fall into place
Hmm.
for whatever their place is supposed to be. And I think that there are things that we have to be very intentional about, um, particularly, yes, with the girls and boys, but particularly with our young girls, empowering them to not always feel the need to be in second place or be the follower. And I think you said something really key in understanding, to be a great leader, you also must be a great follower. Because I think oftentimes people they delineate, and they make it where either you're a leader or either you're a follower. Um, but when you understand, there's a great level of respect and appreciation when you know how to humble yourself and be able to follow someone else just as you would want people to follow you. And so that really takes me into another area. Coming into those teenage years, you may mention that your daughter is a teenager. What are some of the characteristics that you're seeing in her now that there were things that you had to begin to assist her in the development as she got older, and being able to really identify what her place is in the world?
Um, as you know, when she was younger, I often had to redirect her when, you're a child and there's certain things you don't need to say. And, it's constant redirection with that. I will say, even as a teenager, sometimes I'll still remind her, I understand you are taller than me, bigger in size, but, stay in the child's place. So some things I think are, constant redirection. Um, some things people get and understand, but I can definitely say that as a child, not knowing your place. Sometimes as a child, you don't know if you're a child, especially when you're raised around adults and you're often around adults
Hmm.
and you're, yeah, around adults, you tend to act a little bit more mature than a child your age.
Right,
Yeah.
right. What do you see as far as her teenage years now, in her confidence level and her interaction in the world? What do you see now?
Well, she was definitely confident as a young child, and I would say she's still confident. So some things, remain the same. Some things are ingrained as a child, to believe in yourself, to speak up and let people know. She's always been assertive, so I can say that's definitely remained.
And that's so important, I think, for young girls. and young ladies to really be able to have an identity. I think that we're living in a time where oftentimes our young girls are being robbed
Right.
of being able to come into their own, because the influence is so great. And just as a mentor, I know that we make such an initiative to make sure that the young people feel like, listen, 9 out of 10 can go and do something, and it still does not mean that you have to succumb to the pressures of doing it. You are entitled to have your opinion, to have your own identity. And so we want to celebrate you being your authentic, true self.
Right.
And I want to just go into the conversation, as it relates to authenticity with sisterhoods. What do you feel are some of the areas that women may put mask on, and really not remain authentic just for the sake of being in a sisterhood?
Well, I would say describing past hurts. A lot of people don't want to bring that up.
Mm.
Sometimes it's just too deep. And then some people fear where if I tell you how this person hurt me, you may do the same. I think
Mm.
it's discussing accomplishments. Some people feel they have to dumb or numb themselves down in order to fit in and not to feel like they're showing off so they can't be their authentic self, right? Because it may seem
Mhm.
like you're bragging when you're just talking about your day when they're hanging around people that they're not on the same wavelength with, but they want to have the sisterhood. So they end up hanging around people they have nothing in common with, and they can't be their authentic self, or they have to pretend to be somebody else just to the company or the sisterhood that they're trying to forge.
You know what? You touched on something right there. Like, honestly, and that's a conversation that I often have in reference to, when you befriend someone, and that relationship begins to grow, and you begin to pour into one another on a more consistent basis. You're learning one another, right? You're learning the behaviors. You're learning, their idiosyncrasies. You're learning what makes them tick. What makes them excited. And I think we have to do um, just an overall consistent job in celebrating one another and not feeling the need to have to shrink who we are and whatever it is that God blesses us with for the sake of being in a sisterhood. Because as we begin to even define, what a sisterhood is, you would think that it would have encouragement, celebration, these very important dynamics that it separates it from just someone being an acquaintance. So, talk a little bit, Camille, about what you feel is something that we can do to better that overall connection between women.
Okay, well, there's several things we can do. I think one, we can adjust each other's crown and not see each other as competition, encourage each other, clap for each other. You know, there's this book called The Memo. It's by, I hope I say her name right, Mindy Harts. And she talks about having a sponsor and a mentor. So a sponsor is the person at the table who slips your name to the boss, who slips your name to the CEO. So you don't have to go on Indeed to apply for that job. But that person who says, hey, my girl JQ, she's what you need. And that person who passes your name and you got the job, right? So having a
Mhm.
sponsor
That's good.
different than having a mentor.
That's good.
I think as sisters, we need to have both.
Oh, that's good.
Open that door. Open that door. Open that door and hold the door open because I've seen it happen. I have seen it happen. I've had personal situations in which it's happened for me, But I've also seen people open the door, open the window, sis, come in. I'm not even gonna let the blinds down on you. Come all the way in. Bring your
That's
friends
it.
too.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it. A mentor and a sponsor.
Oh yes. You
When I
have to have
tell
both.
you that is so good, I've never really heard it coined like that. I think that is so poignant in understanding the different roles and the different connects and the importance of it. Like you said, not just holding that door open, but come in, like inviting people to be at the table. And
Oh
I
yes.
think that that is one of the strengths that oftentimes you will see in a strong sisterhood, where they understand the importance of making sure that I'm not just having a huge party because I got there, but I'm intentional about making sure that other people have access to this table.
Yes.
And one of my faves, Eric Thomas, he said, we're in a time where people are not just vying to sit at somebody else's table, we're building a table. And
Yes.
when you're talking about the intentionality of building a table, people don't typically build a table for one person to be at that table. And I think when we're making ourselves mindful of, you know, if I be the first to go through this door, I'm intentional in making sure that I'm going back, I'm reaching back to make sure others are able to come through. And
Yeah.
then the flip side to that, Camille, because sometimes you can provide that access, and because of whatever is going on with that individual, they may choose not to come in that door. They may choose not to sit at that table that you've built for more than yourself to be at. And I think that we have to get to the place where we are accepting of someone's choice not to go to that next dimension with you. Talk a little bit about when the opportunity has been provided, but maybe that click or that circle are not all open to coming in.
Well,
Well,
it does
it does.
happen. Sometimes the opportunity is provided and a person gets through the door and they realize this is not the door I want to be in. So even though you've held that door open and you were able to speak that name to the CEO and the hiring manager, and we bypassed all the politics, and they were hired just because of the association they have with you without vetting them, and they may not want that opportunity, you can't take it personal,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's hard not to take it personal because we live in a society where if you may want to slip somebody else through, now based on it not working out with that person, you may be looked at like, I don't know about your referrals, because remember what happened with the last referral that you gave us, right? So we also have we have that, but we can't control how other people view us. So that's that. Also, not all doors are meant for everybody. That's another thing. Sometimes we open the door and that person's not comfortable being in that door. People
Mm-hmm.
have to go through that door when they're ready, not when we want them to be ready.
Right.
And I just believe once we're ready, we'll make it happen. Once that door is open. Once that door is open and we want to go through, we'll go through. Right? We have to create our own intersections and not just wait for green lights.
Mm. Come on. Rewind on that. Rewind.
I'll say it again.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we have to create our own intersections, not wait for green lights. We literally have to make it happen. I know that in my many different places of working as a social worker, no one was going to make me a CEO, CFO, any O of anything. I had to create that opportunity for myself. As educated as I was, as smart as I was, as many years as I've been in the field, I was not going to be given a seat at a table for whatever reason. So I just had to build my own table, build a table and the chairs to match.
To your specs. I get you. I get you. So let me ask you something, and let's transition into what it is that you do, the services that you offer. If you can tell our beautiful viewing audience um, the specialty that you're currently in, and the services that you're providing in the South Florida area.
Okay, so I am a licensed clinical social worker. I provide counseling. I currently work with adults 18 to, I have my oldest client at 90 something, but if you're older than 90, I'll still work with you too. So, yes, I provide mental health counseling, working with people who are dealing with anxiety, depression, work-life balance, career transitions, women's issues, racial issues, divorce, parenting. I work with an array of issues, and also infertility. That's kind of why I started the practice, but it's grown. My population has grown. But that was my baby, working with women who are experiencing infertility. So I still have a population within the population that I work with, more from there.
Wow, so that's an
Women
array.
and not just women, men as well, because I also work going through infertility. Yeah.
And that's an array of people and topics that you may mention. And I know, with the pandemic, have you found it to be more um, complex as it relates to your population, the clientele that you're working with the isolation and various things that people have experienced during the pandemic? Have you found um, more complex issues related to your clientele?
Uh, I don't know if it's more complex issues or more different issues. I've seen a lot of work trauma, workplace trauma. In 2020, there were a lot of people going out on FMLA, on leave. Work was really stressing people out, causing people a lot of mental distress. I've seen that.
Mm,
Also seen a lot of strain in racial traumas and a lot of things being rehashed. People realizing that they were married to a racist and they didn't know. And a lot of events that took place in 2020 highlighted the hearts of a lot of people.
mhm,
So just different situations that probably would have not come up prior. A lot of
mhm.
people are married to people they truly didn't know. But when both people are working from home and they're stuck with each other for more than 24 hours, some people realize they didn't really like their spouse or they didn't really know their spouse.
And that's interesting because yeah, I've heard that statement actually a few times in reference to the amount of time that people spent at home um, when we had the shutdown really either strengthened families or really began to strain that family. And I think that most certainly that time really allowed us to see who we are, what's in us, what's our ability to be able to navigate when things are totally out of our control. And so this has been really a moment of reflection for everybody.
Yes.
As we begin to wrap up with the show, talk to our beautiful viewing audience in reference to now, we're coming on the other side and being able to go out now and um, get back to some level of new normalcy, because we know we'll never get back to normal as we knew it. Talk a little bit about the importance of working on solid relationships, um, even after having gone through some of the trauma and challenges.
Solid relationships coming out of the pandemic, you mean?
Mhm. Yes.
Well, I think that with the pandemic, we have realized that all we have are our memories, experiences, and the importance of relationships, especially when everything was taken away from us. I've had people tell me from now on, whenever, like it's a pandemic joke, whenever they're invited to go anywhere, they're going to say yes. They'll never say no again. You know what I mean? Because we were locked down for so long. They're saying yes to everything, right? Little
Mm,
joke. But I think that people are, for the most part, are being more intentional about their time. I've seen people leave their job with or without a severance, with or without unemployment. People are standing up. So I
the
think
great
that,
resignation, yeah.
oh my gosh, a lot of people have, there's been so many businesses born in this pandemic that jobs are finding a hard time finding people to work. Now, you used to need experiences to work places. Now, as long as you're breathing, have social security number, you can work anywhere, Like with no, when I was growing up, you needed experience. There's so many options now for the young people to choose from, or people just trying to find a job. You have too many options because they can't find anybody. But it's
Right.
been a lot of businesses being born out of the pandemic, a lot. I think that it's created a movement within people, and there's a certain level of disrespect people are no longer willing to take, and people have learned to choose themselves. I've seen people walk away and leave their jobs. um, Sometimes they don't have a plan, but they've chosen their mental health. I mean, they don't have like a
Mm-hmm.
financial plan, but they've chosen their mental health instead,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's important. So I think with relationships, people are being more intentional. We're also being more mindful of our time, of our energy, and what we're willing to tolerate from people in our lives, jobs, places, because that
Mm-hmm.
can all change. And I think we've learned that in the past 2.5 years.
Absolutely. And you know, this is a word that I have been using at nauseum because I think it's so apropos for right now. Like the intentionality of whatever it is that we do. I think that what was birthed out of the pandemic is for people to make their yes, their no, to be a lot more intentional in what their choices and decisions are, what their um, ne- non-negotiables are, what their negotiables are. I think that it has given people really a much closer look at what's working in my life, what's not. It's made people be a lot more introspective. It's made them say, you know, I like the fact that you made mention about that joke. Like, do I need to be more in the moment? You know, or do I need to say no more? You know, it's really causing people to really look at their decisions, look at their interactions, because we lost so many people during that time. And, you know, um, this time can really be a great advancement for individuals, or it could be a setback. And that's why we begin to see, you know, just as it relates to mental health, a number of people struggled during the isolation time. And so that was a part of why I wanted you to really close out with that, because I think a lot of people really did not have to sit in it, right? Because we were so in the hustle and bustle of life, you know. And so when we were forced to be at home and you know, and you couldn't go out, it really put that mirror in front of people. And so as we close out the show, I want to give you an opportunity to share how our beautiful viewing audience can get in touch with you, and any services or things that you may have going on that they could take an opportunity to be a part of.
Okay. Thank you for allowing me to, provide that information. So for viewers who want to get in touch with me, there are different ways. I am on Instagram as CFB Solutions. I'm on Facebook as same thing, CFB Solutions. My website is www.cfbsolutionsinc.com. And yeah, yeah, my email address is cfbsolutions@outlook.com. Every other Wednesday, so next Wednesday, every other Wednesday, twice a month, I do Instagram lives, and we talk about different topics. The last couple of topics were workplace hurt, emotional eating, and financial spending, the link between the two. So we really have some heart to heart intentional lives going on that we do twice a month. So it's really interactive. Myself and a co-host, we do that together. So I'm
Okay.
always doing something.
Awesome. And so again, that's Wednesday, what time?
Wednesday at 8. Thank you. Wednesday. So yes, it's posted on my Instagram. It's twice a month. We only do it twice a month, not every other week, but just twice a month. So it will be next Wednesday coming up at 8 p.m.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So make sure you all connect with Camille, and that Instagram handle is CFB.
Solutions Inc.
Solutions Inc. And so
Yes, Facebook.
you,
Same.
I want to thank you so much, Camille, for coming on the show and just sharing as we honor women and acknowledge just the power behind the sisterhood. And so, to our
You're
beautiful
welcome.
viewing audience, we want to thank you all for tuning in. Definitely make sure that you connect with Miss Berg. She is doing phenomenal things in the industry, and I'm so proud to see her in private practice and just knowing her heart for what it is that she's doing makes it all the more pleasurable in seeing what she's doing. And so I want to close with you all with our beautiful viewing audience. We recently had something that happened very public in the news, and they talked about being able to make sure that women of color are being protected. And I want you all to understand one of the most powerful things about our sisterhood is it transcends color, that it is just this powerful connection that you can have with an individual. And so we want to make sure that when we have our sisterhoods, that we are being intentional about playing our role, doing our part, and making sure that we are our sister's keeper. And so I pray that this show has really struck that and ignited that passion in you to connect again, whether someone you felt betrayed you, whether someone hurt your feelings, whether someone misunderstood you. Don't give up on the sisterhood, because the sisterhood is such a powerful, powerful means into being able to support someone who goes through very similar things than us, and or who knows what it's like to be able to be a woman in today's society. And so I encourage you all, for those who have those amazing sisterhoods, shout them out tonight and just continue to strengthen those relationships, because that's what it is truly, truly all about. And so, again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to A Beautiful Life. And as we always say, continue to be blessed.
I'm living a beautiful life. I'm making a beautiful life. I'm changing, rearranging. I see a beautiful day. It's coming my way. It's a beautiful day.
Bye.
Bye.